Tonight, the Raptors take their first game without All-Star Pascal Siakam.
They did it today. They traded him.
Bro, I feel sad now.
With Siakam reportedly off to Indiana, we're live at Scotiabank Arena as the Raptors take their next move, trying to bounce back.
One nurse for 26 patients. It blows every standard in our country out of the water.
Plus, the emergency building inside hospitals. What Ontario's health minister is saying about the 22-hour average wait for admission and which Toronto hospital ranks the worst in the province.
This gives them confidence that there's going to be content being made in this city for a long time into the future.
And Hollywood North gets a big-time backer. Why Amazon MGM Studios picked Toronto. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. Starting tonight down at Scotiabank Arena, where the Raptors just beat the Miami Heat 121-97. But it was the action that went down before tonight's game that caught today's attention. Toronto's all-star forward Pascal Siakam has been traded to the Indiana Pacers, and Dale Manukduk is live at Scotiabank Arena with more on the blockbuster deal and what it means for Toronto. Dale, the Raptors just confirming the deal moments ago. What do we know?
Yeah, Chris, the sports world has known about this deal for most of the day. It was first reported by ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Pascal Siakam is headed to the Indiana Pacers. In return, Toronto will get 3 players and 3 first-round draft picks. And as you mentioned, Toronto just confirming this trade moments ago. They put out a news release. I'll read you a little excerpt from that. It says, Pascal is a champion, an integral part of winning teams, and an example of what can be achieved with dedication, perseverance, hard work, and tenacity. I can tell you from the fans I spoke with tonight, they appreciate all of those qualities, and they're going to miss him dearly. The Pascal Siakam jerseys were out in full force tonight, but the man called Spicy P was not in the building. Well, they did it today. They traded him.
Bro, I feel sad now.
He didn't warm up with the team. His jerseys gone from the merchandise store. While the Raptors wouldn't confirm the trade, his coach said his goodbyes before the game.
Came here as almost teenager and left quite a legacy behind him. And I wish him all the best going forward. We're going to stay in touch, and I wish him all the best.
Siakam was drafted by the Raptors in 2016 and racked up a ton of accolades. He was the league's most improved player in 2019, a 2-time All-Star and 2-time All-NBA selection. And throughout the years, he donated his time and money to communities around the city.
Pascal Siakam. Who's going to mess with him?
Part of me is I really wish we kept Siakam because watching him play in the 905, winning G League MVP with Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, man, it was so heartwarming.
The crown jewel of Siakam's career is, of course, the 2019 championship. He was the last remaining player from that team whose run to the title captivated the country.
We're a team.
His former teammate isn't surprised by his success.
My beloved one is one of the most coveted players in our league. He's one of the most talented players in our league, and you know, whatever happens with him, he'll be successful. And you know, I'm always going to love him and support him and be happy for him no matter what happens.
Siakam was unable to work out an extension with Toronto. This reporter says the Raps could have got more if they had moved him earlier.
Although it's not for much, the Raptors do get a level of flexibility back because they're going to be able to have some cap space this summer, and they add a couple of first-round picks as well to their treasure chest, if you will. But for the most part, the reason they didn't get a lot for Pascal Siakam is because he's an expiring contract. He will be a free agent this summer.
Before that time comes, fans await his return to Toronto as a visiting player.
I love Pascal. I'll look forward to seeing him when he comes here with the Pacers.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. Awesome. He's back here on Valentine's.
You already marked it on the calendar?
Martin, you did.
Now, Chris, going forward, this team will be centered around Scotty Barnes and Canadian RJ Barrett, who the team just acquired in a trade with OG Anunoby. As for Pascal Siakam, you heard it from those fans. He's going to be back here on Valentine's Day. Expect them and the franchise to shower him with love. Chris?
Absolutely. That will be an electric night as well. Dale, thanks so much for this. Dale Manukduk reporting live for us tonight at Scotiabank Arena. And late tonight, school board trustees voted in favor of developing a policy to limit cell phone use in Toronto classrooms. The motion still needs to be ratified later this month. Then a long public consultation process is expected. While it's still a long way off, the anticipated policy has a lot of people talking today, and Patrick Swadden has more on what's at stake.
It is really big distraction for us students.
For me, I think there are times that we need our cell phones, and there are times where we just need to like focus on what we're learning.
It really depends on the kid, on how to use their phone.
Different opinions from different students. Ask experts about cell phone use in schools, you get a clearer answer.
Students' performance in math, reading, and science has been steadily declining over the past decade.
And this expert says use of phones and digital technology was a significant factor in those results, which were taken from Canada and other developed countries. He says in schools where cell phones were banned, students reported being less distracted.
If we see that this is harming kids' learning and their social and emotional development, then we have a moral responsibility to do something about it.
Chair Rachel Chernos-Lynn motioned for an updated policy on cell phones in December.
At TDSB, what we had was not working in the best interest of students and staff, and it was time to create a very clear, strong policy.
The province has had a ban on phone use in class since 2019, except for educational purposes, health, or special needs.
It's been completely unenforced. And
this expert saying that it's up to school boards on how to implement that, but unless a policy has teeth, it's too difficult for individual teachers to police cell phone use.
When a policy is effective, research shows that cognitive development goes up, social connections go up.
But Westheimer says technology and phones can help some with social development, and that any restrictions need to account for that and allow phones in some educational circumstances. Meanwhile, not everybody agrees on a ban.
They're part of our education with providing educational tools, mental health support. If we're going into a world full of technology in the future, then we should start implementing how to use your phone in our curriculum.
Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
Turning now to the frigid temperatures gripping the GTA. Again tonight, feeling close to -20 and maxing out the city's shelters and warming centers. We spoke to one warming center user who asked not to be identified, but he says he was turned away from a location despite the dangerously cold conditions.
The warming centers that where I went on Elizabeth Street turned me away. They said that, and it's security that's running this. Security won't let you in the door. They'll tell you to leave because they're at capacity.
City officials, meantime, say the centers will continue to operate 24 hours a day, and more street outreach teams have been deployed to help people living outdoors get access to an indoor space. And here's a live look for you tonight of what that cold weather looks like. -9 right now, feeling more like -17 once you factor in the wind chill. Victor Paulo is here with a first check on the forecast. And Victor, this frigid weather just won't quit.
Chris, another cold day here in the GTA, and that's due to the Arctic pipeline, which is just bringing in all of that cold air from the north all the way here to the GTA in the southeastern of Ontario. Now, we do have some more snow coming our way, like you do see behind me when it comes to your Thursday and Friday morning due to the Pacific system. And we also have the return of rain for the start of next week. Now, average temperatures this time of year, -2.3 is your average high, -10.7 is your average low. And here's that Arctic pipeline that's bringing in all of that cold air from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northern Ontario, and into right here, southeastern Ontario. And here's that system coming off the Pacific, which is bringing all that snow as it works its way in. You can see by the time we reach Thursday morning, this is when the first bit's going to come, and the next round we're expecting will be Friday morning. Speaking of mornings, when tomorrow morning and my little Emmy and your little ones are getting ready, it's going to be little scattered showers, -8, feeling like -15, and a quick look at our 3-day forecast. Well, back-to-back days of snow before we get a break on Saturday. Over to you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Victor. We'll check in just a few minutes. Next is some staggering new data coming from Ontario hospitals. The latest stats from November show people at the ER waited on average more than 22 hours to be transferred to a hospital room. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redicop now with how the health minister reacted today and why critics say she's missing the point.
Emergency room doctors say it's common for patients who need a bed to wait much longer than the average wait time.
They'll be in the emergency department 24, 36, 48 hours before they end up going to their spot on the hospital ward.
The visual that many people have seen is orange EMS blankets of paramedics and silver and gray lined beautiful hair poking out from beyond the blanket. And this is tragically the symbol of Ontario healthcare if you come to the ER right now.
I'll have to follow up on that, sorry.
The health minister fielded multiple questions about ER wait times while making a separate announcement. Numbers show the average wait before admission is 22.4 hours. The average time before a doctor's assessment is just over 2 hours. Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto has the longest wait in Ontario at 4.5 hours. The health minister says the government has already added money for hospitals.
This is not a money investment conversation or challenge. It is making sure that we have sufficient health human resources out in our communities to serve our communities.
I would agree to disagree on this point. Just because I think human resource is also money.
The opposition NDP also doesn't agree with the minister's assessment.
I found that a really, really strange statement.
He says the government needs to invest by paying hospital staff more.
If you don't invest, you lose staff, and then you have a problem. And I think they're just ignoring the simple reality.
One Toronto ER physician says staffing is a big part of the problem.
One nurse for 26 patients. It blows every standard in our country out of the water. And this is what I've personally witnessed in ER recently.
The opposition NDP wants the government focusing more on public health care, not increased privatization, and putting more scans and surgeries in private clinics. That's what the minister's announcement was about. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
To Peel now, where the police chief says there have been roughly 20 extortion threats towards South Asian businesses recently, some involving shootings.
6 of them have been coupled with acts of violence, which are in the form of shootings at the businesses. And the shootings occur, at 1 or 2 or 3 a.m., and they're oriented at the businesses. Clearly, the businesses are unoccupied.
On CBC Radio's Metro Morning, the chief said the situation has become so concerning that police have set up a hotline. Over in Brampton, Mayor Patrick Brown even teamed up with the mayor of Surrey, British Columbia. They've written a letter to the federal public safety minister calling for a multi-jurisdictional strategy to combat the problem. A spokesperson for the federal minister says the extortion threats are deeply concerning and that the RCMP is working with local police. The federal government is working on plans to reduce the amount of international students allowed to study in Canada. It's just one of the ways the immigration minister says he's looking to rein in an influx of non-permanent residents as the housing crisis continues. Tyler Cheese has that story.
Last year, Canada welcomed record numbers of international students. But as issues of housing affordability and the rising cost of living continue, those numbers have added strain to an already struggling system.
It's high time that we took some action on trying to rein in international student admissions in Canada.
Canada's immigration minister, Mark Miller, has recently floated the idea of a cap on international students coming into the country. But experts say the government needs to be careful in how they go about it.
To put a blanket cap where there's just a number and it's just based on who can get in first is really the wrong way to go.
She says the government needs to prioritize students who are most likely to get a job in their field upon graduation.
We have a lot of research that clearly shows they're actually among the most productive and highest earning and highest achieving new immigrants.
At the end of last year, the government doubled the amount of money international student applicants need to prove they have access to, but
the students themselves aren't the problem. We need to be looking at the individual institutions, making sure that they're delivering high quality education and making sure that they have enough housing to support their enrollment plans.
In December, Miller made similar remarks, saying we expect learning institutions to only accept the number of students that they're able to provide for, able to house, or assist in finding off-campus housing. In welcoming international students, we have a responsibility to make sure that students are supported when they come to our country. This former international student is aligned with the experts.
If Canada is serious about increasing our immigrants, we should just do a better job on attracting students to the programs that we know that we're going to have shortage.
Last year, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada projected that international student applications would rise to 1.4 million by 2027 from just under 1 million in 2023. Tyler Cheese,
Returning now with the mega boost that Toronto's film industry got today, Pinewood Studios in the Portlands announced a long-term deal with Amazon MGM Studios. Lane Harrison has more on why the move is so significant.
I'll be back.
The studio behind countless classics like Terminator
step into the trunk, please.
and Thelma and Louise, as well as new favorites like The Boys and Reacher, is making Pinewood Studios at Toronto's Portlands its new Canadian home. Amazon MGM Studios has signed a multi-year lease for exclusive use of its new facilities. Premier Doug Ford says the deal will boost Ontario's already busy film industry.
Over the past few years, we've seen record numbers with over 419 productions filmed in our province in 2023 alone, contributing over $3 billion to our economy and supporting almost 46,000 jobs.
Founded in 1924, MGM was acquired by Amazon in 2022. The company's head of production says Toronto has everything they look for in a place to shoot. There's a strong pool of talent, infrastructure, and the right economic conditions. He says film and TV productions boost local business in ways people might not expect.
We're using dry cleaners, hotels, restaurants, caterers, just numbers of businesses that any community has.
The chairman of the Pinewood Group says Amazon chose this location because of massive studio spaces like this one. The production company will make use of 5 sound stages at the Portlands, as well as workshops and office space. Paul Golding says the deal with Amazon will provide stability to the Toronto film and TV industry.
This is largely a freelance staffed industry. And when people who are not only working in it today, but are aspiring to work in it in the future, this gives them confidence that there's going to be content being made in this city for a long time into the future.
Mayor Olivia Chow says Toronto is currently the 5th largest production center in North America. She says Amazon will be looking to commission original content by Canadian creators.
Toronto's talent is global. We have the creativity, the diversity of skills, and the perspectives that enrich storytelling. That is why our city is a leader in film and TV production.
The chair of the Pinewood Group declined to say how long the lease will last, but stressed the company will be in Toronto for many years. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.
In Vaughan today, elementary students got a chance to participate in traditional Indigenous sports and culture. York Catholic District School Board hosting its very first Indigenous Winter Games, and we got a chance to capture all the fun in action.
3, 2, 1, go!
Our grade 12 leadership class has promptly put this event together to teach students Indigenous games and learn about Indigenous culture and traditions. This is an event that our class really wanted to take part in. It's very important to us.
We really wanted to focus on the spiritual aspects of each game and make sure that the students knew all the history aspects of the events. When we were presented many different Indigenous games from the Indigenous leaders, we felt very honored that they were showing us a part of their culture and heritage, and we appreciated that they let us embrace their culture with them.
It's so important that Indigenous culture would be highlighted in the curriculum in school. As a young person, when I was in school, there was never anything that would make me feel like, oh, we're talking about my people and I should be proud of this. But today in the opening ceremonies, my eyes were open to, we're in the future now, where Indigenous people are important and they are part of the conversation.
This event deepened my awareness for the Indigenous community, and the games made me realize the importance of mutual respect, honoring each other's religions, cultures, and how the Indigenous peoples impacted our society.
And a live look at Windsor as we head to break. -6 out there tonight, feeling like -14 with that wind. Victa is back with the long-range forecast when we come back. All right, so bear with me. A couple more days of icy temperatures across our region before we get any sort of warm up. Let's get back to Victor Paulo with all the details in the long-range forecast.
Taking a look at the map of North America here, we'd just like to note you can see that a lot of the Arctic here, that cooling down over Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northern Ontario has finally reached us right here in the southeast of Ontario. Now that results in colder temperatures than we've been used to over the month of December and even the first couple weeks of January. You've noticed that it has been significantly cold this week. But we're expecting a bit of a break. Come Sunday is going to be that day where it's going to be the gap between above seasonal temperatures coming our way by the time it's Monday, Tuesday, and an end to all of the cold weather we've had all the way since. Now, speaking of cold weather and speaking of tonight, as you can see, it will be partly cloudy before the snow starts on Thursday morning, but it will be -9, feeling like -17. Again, another cold night. Now, we're expecting around 1 to 2 centimeters to fall when it comes to your Thursday scattered flurries, but not a significant amount. About another same will be expected for Friday, except Friday's snowfall is going to be a lot lighter than Thursday's. Now, you can see this is the Pacific system I'm speaking of, which is bringing in all of that snow that's working its way into right here, in towards the GTA. And that snowfall, as mentioned, is not going to be too significant, nothing close to or near 5 centimeters. But as we take a closer look, you can see that Thursday is going to be the start of the scattered flurries, and it's going to be on and off, but mainly cloudy as you get closer to your overnight. And to start your Friday, there'll be another round of scattered flurries. But again, no big significant systems working our way in, nothing compared to last week's snowfalls. Now, speaking of your 3 and 7 day forecast, one thing to mention, you can see back-to-back days of scattered flurries right here on Thursday and Friday, cloudy day Saturday. But we're talking about that break in the weather on Sunday right here. And that break in the weather will result in back to above seasonal temperatures for your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But until then, Toronto, make sure you stay warm and make sure you stay safe. Over to you, Chris.
All right, good advice. Thanks, Victor. Have a great night. And finally, tonight, giving you a little boost before bed, and you are not ready for how cute it was as dozens of pets were blessed today at a church in Madrid. Yeah, it is the knitted church hat for me as well. Priests blessing pets in honor of the feast of St. Anthony of Abbot. He's Spain's patron saint of animals, known for caring and protecting them. And most of the adorable pets were seen waiting patiently as they were sprinkled with some holy water. My dog would not have been that patient, I don't think. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with you tomorrow at 11, and we'll see you then.